how would you like to achieve your first million? And today we have Amresh with us with his property tech, founded the CEO of HomeAbroad, a property and financial technology company helping international customers purchase U.S. real estate and helping with other financial services and need for U.S. newcomer and migrants. So, Amrish, what are the 5 steps that you recommend to tech entrepreneurs in order to achieve the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Great question, Harry. The way I would position it, right? The first step always starts with spotting a real pain, right? What's the pain point, right? And that pain point would be a function of your background and your perspective, right? And you are special because you, based on your perspective and your background, you are someone who can identify that pain point, right? So I'd always start with, identifying that pain point. Identify that pain point first. Once you identify that pain point, the second step is solve with simplicity, right? Then, yes, you have a problem. What's the solution, right? How do you not over engineer or start boiling the ocean? Start simple. And the journey will take you to places which you wouldn't have thought on day one, right? So start simple. Don't overcomplicate.
That's the most difficult thing, to keep it simple.
Exactly. That's totally right.
Huge challenge.
People start with absolutely. Let the journey take you wherever it needs to take you, right? But start simple, okay? Third step is once you are in that journey, you start to productize the workflow. Don't build a front, let the demand dictate what you're building, right? That's how you productize. Don't come up with a solution. Don't come up with a product. Let the demand dictate what you're building, right? That's the third step from my perspective. And once you have that, fourth step is to monetize early, right? Come with that bootstrap mentality. Come with that, okay, cash flow is king, right? I'm not here to burn a VC's money. I have that, even if you raise millions later on, that's fine, right? But you got to have that lean mindset. You have to have that bootstrap mindset. You have to have that profitability mindset on day one. That's how you build great companies, right? And number 5 is distribution. Once you have all these number 4 items in order, you need to make sure that you have leverage on distribution. How do you get the word out? How do you make sure that people know about your products and services, right? So finalizing that piece comes at the end, not on the day one, right? So I would say that's kind of my 5-step formula for building millionaires, if that makes sense.
It's easy to become a millionaire as a property investor, and also it's easy to become a millionaire as a tech entrepreneur. And I'm making these statements based on statistics, because 1 out of 5 multimillionaires that we interview in this podcast, we interview already 500 millionaires. 1 out of 5 is a property investor or doing property strategy, but also 1 out of 5 they are tech entrepreneurs. And you, my friend, I'm about to give you the gold medal because you're doing both, right? now to that statement, right? Because we want to be honest with the audience and they need to understand what is the challenges, right? So can you share with us the good, the bad, and the ugly, especially the ugly, because people listen in this podcast and it doesn't matter what I say. They're listening here. They see, wow, 1 out of 5 are property millionaires and 1 out of 5 are tech entrepreneurs. And then people are, whoa, I want to make $1 million. You know what? I do tech, I do property, and I'm going to be a millionaire. So then you're doing both, right? What is the good, the bad, and the ugly of property tech? How to, the question is, it is really easy become a multimillionaire in property, in technology, or in property tech?
Yeah, I'd say I'll break that question into two halves, Harry, right? So let's talk about real estate first,
Mhm.
I think real estate, especially in the US market, is I would say, the single most short trick to become a millionaire, right? And here's why, right? Something that was an eye opener for me as well, because kind of, more than a decade ago, I came to the US from India, working for a global bank who moved me from India to the US. But two things I realized over here, right? US, you have 30-year fixed rate mortgages, which means, your mortgages are, payment are fixed for the term of the loan, 30
Which is very
years,
good. We don't have that in UK, yeah.
Absolutely. No,
Where I'm
most
coming
places
from.
around the world.
You guys are so
It,
lucky.
yes, and people here don't realize that. People take 30-year fixed rate mortgages for granted, right? And not only UK, Harry, it doesn't happen in most places around the world. So
Mhm.
combine that with high rental leads, high rental demand in the US, right? You are looking one of the only few markets in the world where you can generate cash flow with financial leverage. Let me repeat that: cash flow with leverage, which means 20-25% of your money is helping you buy 100% of the property. That property gives you cash flow on day one, and it also is appreciating in US dollars, right? Uh, so if I'm a real estate
And you
investor, or
buy
if I
with
want to
something
be
with that depreciate, which is actually money, eh?
on top of that, right? So if you want to be a millionaire and you want a sure short way of becoming a millionaire, right? Invest in US real estate. But here's what's gonna happen, right? You use 20% of your money to buy 100% of the property. Rent covers mortgage from day one. So nothing comes out of your pocket. Plus it gives you cash flow. So you're getting income out of it. Property is appreciating. 2 years, 3 years down the line, you can tap into that appreciation. You can pull that equity out, use that money as down payment on another property. Now that property's rent covers its mortgage. That property is appreciating. In 7-8 years time, you have
That's
40
it.
doors or 40.
You are in La
That's
La
it.
Land.
You're a multi-millionaire, right? So, and people just don't realize this, Harry. Like this is, if you were to ask me what's a sure shot way to become a millionaire, if you have 20% money saved for a down payment on investment property, do it yesterday. I won't even say
I agree with
today.
you
You should have
100%.
done it yesterday,
I agree with
right?
you 100%.
That's right. So that's the investor part, right? Now, if you talk about the entrepreneurial journey, right? Of course, different journeys have their own good, bad, and ugly. It's not easy to be an entrepreneur. Let's kind of,
Mhm.
put
And
that
to
out
take
there, right?
risk and then to take and to
To-
find a good deal for property, because if something goes wrong and you don't know,
Yeah.
you can lose a lot of money, right?
Yeah, but you got to take that first step, right? But
100%.
taking that first step, I think, is the most important and something, is the most difficult. Once you take that first step, things fall in line. That's when you realize this made sense all the time. You kind of get into that zone, right? So I would say the first step, of course, the most challenging part, the ugly part is taking that first step. After you take that first step, it's good, it's better, it's best, right? It keeps growing from there.
And how about tech? Why we have so many millionaires in the tech space?
Scale, right? Tech enables you to scale, right? So there are a lot of industry that need disruption from a technology standpoint, right? And again, it's up to the entrepreneur on whether they're finding the right industry to disrupt or not, right? That's why 80% of the startups fail, right? Because at the end of the day, you don't have to be very close to the solution. You have to be close to the problem, right? And one of the reasons why 80% of the startups fail is they go with solution first mindset versus problem first mindset, right? Once you're solving for the problem, it becomes easy because you're not letting, your biases dictate or your experiences dictate what you're building. You're letting the problem dictate what you are building, right? And every step of that entrepreneurial journey is solving the problem at hand and scaling from there. And that makes a huge difference. So that is where, like 80% of and sometimes it's also luck, I will not lie, right? You're
Mhm.
the right founder solving the right problem at the right time, right?
Mhm.
That's the recipe for success, right? When we also say 80% of the startups fail, you also have to keep in mind the ecosystem around it too, right? If you are a venture backed startup, right? How do you define failure? The failure is if you're not able to get that VC 100x return on their investment or whatever
Mhm.
that VC promised to their limited partners that they will get return on their money, you're a failure, right?
Mhm.
But say you build a profitable business that's not going to go to a venture scale, right? But
You
you are in a
bootstrapped
happy place.
and it
Yeah, you
got
bootstrap.
good cash flow.
Exactly. Like you're not like you have built something that's making you and your employees happy. That's not a failure, right? It also depends on how you
Doesn't need to be a
define.
unicorn like a billion or whatever,
Yeah,
and that's what people get
th-
frustrated. Look, my friend,
exactly.
I'm about to give
Exactly.
you 10 out of 10 and a gold medal, right? The And let's discuss this because we talk about the good. Now let's talk about
Mm-hmm.
the bad and the ugly, which you're actually started to lean into this space as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you say something in your 5 step that you said keep it simple, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we're seeing a lot in the tech space, in the tech
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs, is that Amrish, this MVP, minimum viable product, somehow
Mm-hmm.
the M get
Mm-hmm.
lost in translation. Nobody wants to do a minimum, a
Mm-hmm.
simple viable product.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody goes with
Mm-hmm.
this mindset, exactly like you said, that
Mm-hmm.
it's not minimum viable product anymore. They want to offer out this big solution, which tech is
Mm-hmm.
expensive, and now they create this big elephant without
Mm-hmm.
giving the priority right to that, to
Mm-hmm.
exactly what you described, a problem mindset, and
Mm-hmm.
create something simple, show it to your client base, to your prospect, and see in what form they want to buy the product, how much they want to pay,
Mm-hmm.
um, and offer simple solutions which are scalable, right?
Absolutely.
However, Amrish, I talk a lot with tech entrepreneurs in this broadcast. Lots of them show up. Some of them extremely successful with more than one exits, and we always are in the trying to see what is the source that somehow this mindset that you have, which is amazing, and I can tell that you're going to do so well. Yeah, and you're doing well
Thanks.
already, and you're gonna do amazing just with this mindset ground. Okay, because I think the tech entrepreneurs that read the story maybe
Mm-hmm.
like they take the story of Steve Jobs, right? And they
Mm-hmm.
say, you know what? He created an amazing product, and this product
Mm-hmm.
was so good that
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter that everybody was telling otherwise. He went, everybody loved this product, and everybody came to him and bought this product because he had that vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
And tech entrepreneurs, they're thinking, you know what, this festive job did that like this, right? Meaning they are gonna do like this. I'm gonna do an amazing product, a big vision. I'm gonna solve this. I have this idea. They're gonna change the world, and it's gonna be so good that everybody will come. And by the way, it's gonna worth a billion. So I want a lot of VCs to give me money, and all this frustration. And
Yep.
then I go on and as advisor, and I look at what they're doing, and I said, guys, this is not how it works. We have to keep it simple. We need to stop trying to find who will like this product and what form they're gonna buy. And what they telling me,
Mm-hmm.
Harry, you don't understand. Tech is different. And the more I see tech, the more I see people like you with the feet on the ground say, you know what? Cash flow. I have a good business. If I need an investor, I'm sure that people should calling you right now, throwing you money to invest in your company. And it's you who choose
That's
if this is the right partner. So you don't need to. How come you're not chasing for visits? How come
it's
you're
it's
not
it's not
frustrated about
it's
funding?
not
How come you don't come here complaining, Harry? You won't believe. I don't know what these people want. I have my tech company, and I'm looking for funding. And when I don't have tranche, they want cash flow. They want thing. I think that you are now quite comfortable position that being
yeah.
property tech, I can tell you, I can find you hundreds of VC like this in a minute
No,
if you want that.
I
So why everybody's doing in the old way, and why you decided that this path that you're doing would be the correct? So from who you learned this path, and what was your source of inspiration? So like this, the tech entrepreneurs or the entrepreneurs in general that listen to the broadcast, they can have a broad idea that maybe what you read out there is just the exception of how
Mhm.
reality, because this business model, my friend, that you shared with me in property and in tech, it calls reality, because
Yes,
this is how the real life works. Yeah,
absolutely.
this is how it really works if you want to stay in business in tech.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tell
Absolutely,
us
100%.
tell us why
Yeah,
why
so
you choose this path, who guide you, with this idea. Maybe people say, "No, you're crazy. You should be looking for VC." And how come this pro is so simple? You're not gonna spend more money in that solution, and you're
Yep.
gonna show this
Yep.
to people. You're not ashamed of that. Let's
Yep.
let's hire 100 programmers from New York and from India, and let's do a big
Yep.
app
Yep.
that whatever. So tell us how you learn on that. Maybe your background
So
as a finance guy help or
yeah, so combination of few things, right? Because it's easy, Harry. It's not
yeah, we say
easy
very
to.
easy. I
Yeah.
understand, but when we're doing it at the beginning, it's tough. I know.
Yes, and
Been there,
it's
done it,
to.
seen it.
Yep, absolutely, right? Because it's a grind. If you're doing it the way we did it, from a bootstrap model, it's really a grind. You have to wear multiple hats, right? And your co-founding relationship has a big to play on it, right? So I think the biggest enabler for us is between me and my co-founder, right? We shared the same mindset. We were like, okay, we're not gonna build a VC first business, right? We're gonna build a business that is strong on fundamentals, that's strong from a revenue perspective, right? We're not
Which is a
gonna be
business,
in
which
that
is
rat
actually a
race. Yep,
business because
exactly.
business is value with cash flow.
Exactly.
When you value a restaurant, when you value whatever, people will go and see
Yeah,
what is your cash flow, what is your profit. Okay, that's how much your business is worth.
absolutely, right? But in order to do that, the founding team needs to have the skill set to wear not only multiple hats, but gazillion hats, right? Because then
Absolutely. When it's in a startup,
yep,
there is
yep,
nothing like this is not my job in a small
ex
startup like that,
exactly.
It won't fit
Yeah,
the culture.
that exactly, right? So, we were lucky from my perspective that between me and my co-founder, we were able to handle everything between us, and no job was, beneath us. Like whether it was kind of, setting up, our customer acquisition strategy, GTM strategy, to taking out trash out from the office, right? No job, I'm the chief executive officer and I'm the chief janitorial officer as well, right? So,
When you have an
so
startup, that's what it is.
exactly, right? So that mindset helps, and then ultimately you're trying to build something of value, right? It's not
Mm.
saying that raising VC capital is not right or is bad. There are some businesses who can't thrive if you don't raise VC
Mm.
capital, and that's absolutely okay, right? But from our perspective, it was, we're gonna get to a certain scale, we're gonna find product market fit, and then we'll decide whether raising money makes sense. And at
Mhm.
that point, to your point, VCs should coming to us because they find value in our business, right?
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
that's where we are right now, right? So
It comes with
glad that
culture, Amrish. Come with culture and
yep,
comes with mindset because if I
yep,
tell you a
mhm,
story, you won't believe what things that I've seen in the tech space. Yeah, I've seen
mhm,
tech CEOs saying, like, let's say that I'm consulting for them, and I have tech
mhm,
CEO tell me, my friend, tech CEO,
mhm,
a startup founder and co-founders, CTOs, CEOs, telling in my face when I say, "Well, guys, you should be doing this and this. That's a good way for you to grow." And they are telling me, "Harry, this is not my job." I'm like, "What?" This is the answer that you had to me, that this is not my job. This is the job for the mic. This is, you have an startup. Everything is everybody's job. What do you think you are in corporate
mhm,
America that you? It
mhm,
don't really work like this when you have a startup. With a lot of those guys, they coming with sickly from your background. They coming from corporate that they used to get a lot of
mhm,
money, and they're very good
mhm.
at something specific. And of course, in the corporate,
Yep.
somebody come and tell you you need to do this, and
Mhm.
within your job description you can entitled to say, "I'm sorry, this is not my job." And that's okay in
Yep.
a corporate, yeah. But you bring this mindset to a startup and you dead before arrival. You you because if you
Uh,
see the CEO, that's what I have to speak with those guys apart, not in front of the team. I said, "Guys, if you're the CEO, you're the people in charge, and you say in front of your whole team that this is not your job, what do you think your team is gonna say
yeah.
when we
Yeah.
need to go to the extra mile or the whatever? They're gonna say, this is not my job." I say, "Why are you doing this? Everything your job." I say, "No, look, the CEO." So you send this message to the team, and this is a startup. And on top of that, they take a startup that you have to fly with this. That doesn't
Yep.
happen overnight. That you don't even know how many times you have to pivot or to iterate. You have an idea, thinking how you're gonna start, and
Yep. And I'll
you know how it's gonna end up, right, Amrish?
absolutely. And I'll tell you the benefit, the pros of this as well, because that ownership mindset is infectious. It spreads to your team,
Mhm.
right? Because
Mhm.
they are saying that you are the owner operator for everything, right? And mindset, mentality, that lean mindset, that okay,
Mhm.
we're gonna do more with less mindset, right? Because at the end of the day, even if we raise VC money, Harry, later on, we may, right? I
No,
know
you of
after.
course you can, but you want to have in a good position. You want to have a position that you choose the VC, which is actually a strategic partner,
Exactly.
probably a property developer, or I don't know, someone that brings more the money to the
Yeah.
and so like that. It's that you are out there desperate for the money because they think that a lot of people come to show me pitch decks. Say, Harry, look, we're looking for funding. I say, okay, you're looking for funding. Fine. What do you want the money for? I said, no, we want to use it to sell it. And we already developed the product. We just need the money to sell it. I said, but you guys haven't sold any yet, right? So do you think that somebody will come and give you money for you to learn how to sell your product with their money? You
Yeah.
need to
That
prove that you
doesn't
can
work.
sell these things by yourself. Do you think people are crazy gonna give you the money just to scale what you already know how to do? But you have to learn with it. It doesn't make sense for them. And again, we first time founders, I would call it like this. They get they're product lovers. They get so in love with the product, so emotionally attached with the product. I was like this in my first business, and it's difficult to what was what the clients want. Hopefully, luckily, I learned very quickly. You're speaking with one of the pioneer of landing services in this planet. Yeah, I was doing
Oh,
this in
nice.
London. We sold five
Very
million. I
cool.
used to be young like you. I used to have hair back then. So 18
You
years
still
ago,
look young, Harry. That
yeah, yeah,
matters.
yeah. So I arrived to London as an immigrant, right? And then I started
Nice.
a job. My English was no good, so I started to work as in a pub, right? And in
Nice.
Houston Station. And when my salary come, I'm working to Sunday because I need money, and
Mm.
and the breaking even. Some months I'm spending more than I was making. I'm saying, how is this possible? I asking for more hours, more hours, more hours. And then one day, um, I took my bank statements. I say, okay, hold on
Mm-hmm.
a minute. Electricity this money, gas this money, food this money, transport this money. And I'm saying like 60, 70% of the whole thing was rent. So I'm like, if I don't
Mm-hmm.
solve this problem, this never is
Mm-hmm.
gonna work.
Yeah.
So I solved the problem for myself. I rent one house, and then I living in the living
Mm-hmm.
room. I was renting out the rooms, yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
then I managed all of the sudden it was going with my rent. So now next month when I got the salary, I feel like a millionaire. I'm like, my God,
Yeah.
I can't believe that I have 700 pounds extra.
Yeah.
How does it
Because
happen? How does this
instead.
happen? How made this happen and then but I remember renting my first room. When I opened the door, I asked it was asked the person, yeah, come one boy and said, look, what do you think about the room? And he saw the room and said,
Mm-hmm.
well, you know what? Man, it's a little bit dirty, yeah. It's no, it's nearly a bit plain. I'm not gonna rent it like that. And the guy
Mm-hmm.
left. So the guy left from one side, and I was directly to the shop that sell the paint. And I told
Mm-hmm.
the guy, look, I need to paint a room, whatever it takes. And look, I never paint a room in my life. So blah, blah. Imagine how lost I was that the guy in the shop store told me, Harry, I know that you never painted in your life. You don't need to repeat that because the question that you're asking, I can tell that you never done it in your life. So anyway, he gave me the paint, the whatever. I paint the room, I paint the windows, I paint the floor, I paint myself. I make a big mess, but I managed to paint the room. Second viewing, a girl come. I said, look, how you like the room? It's
Mm-hmm.
clean, right? It's painted,
Mm-hmm.
nice, right? And she said, yeah, but it's a little bit cold, it's too cold. Yeah, it's clean, but it's too cold. Nah, I don't want to take it. So the girl went, and then I went to IKEA. She went to the door, and I went directly to IKEA. And I'm thinking she wants warm, right? Because in London it's cold. So I bought one of the bed sheet that they're orange, pink, and red. And I put it on top of the bed. See, this one that they sell in IKEA. And then I bought a painting, black and white with a little bit of red. And in my way back, I passed by the Chinese shop and I invest $1, £1 in a vase with a flower. I put it there. And so I saw the room. I said, well, Now it looks a little bit
Mm-hmm.
cozy. It's look a little bit warmish. It's not like this clean, white, empty space. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third gate comes, and I said, "Look, what do you think about the room?" She said, "I'll take it."
There you
And
go.
and that's the story. 18 years we having this conversation, and I look back. That's when my entrepreneurial life started.
See,
So the point of the
what I like
story,
about,
Amrich, is that
yep,
it's not how I didn't put the product how I wanted, right?
yep,
They were
yep.
telling me how they wanted, and until
Mm-hmm.
they were not happy, I
Mm-hmm.
was not telling. I should, we could have this mindset. Well, you don't like it, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna keep it like this. I'm not gonna do anything. Somebody else will come because it's so good as
Mm-hmm.
it is that I really need the money. Back then it was a lot of money. So I'm thinking, oh my God, if this room stay one more day empty, it's costing me a
Mm-hmm.
lot of money. So I had to do whatever it takes. So out of necessity, sometimes you learn, right?
Yep, yep. And that's a perfect example of, you didn't come up with the solution up front, you can resolve that as part of your journey, right? So kind of the mindset, we align mindsets over here.
And when it works, now you click it and say,
Yep.
okay, hold on a minute.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What else the client wants? The secret here is the
Mm-hmm.
client. So I keep asking them,
Mm-hmm.
okay. And then the next problem come with the client. They said, well, I'm leaving. I said, why are you leaving? No, because my English is not good. So, and I came here to learn English, but the English school, I'm paying a lot of money. They usually, they come from abroad, from London after they finish
Mm-hmm.
university. So the main goal is learn English, and after they go back to the country, they usually in
Mm-hmm.
Europe, students do that for a year. And
Mm-hmm.
after they graduate, they go to London to learn English for 1 year,
Mm-hmm.
to do a little bit of party, to be honest, as well, to relax before they start to work. But
That's
but they will. So I'm telling them, why you guys go? I said, no, my parents complaining because we spent 6 months here, and the English school is too expensive, and we're not learning anything. We are leaving. And I
mm-hmm.
told to my tenants, but then I have big volume, yeah, and I told them, look, I gonna open an English school for you guys. So I was probably the only in the world that have an English school without speaking English. and
I
the
love it.
teachers and the teachers, they were English, by the way. They were,
Mm-hmm.
blue eyes, white, and crazy. And a lot of people, they were telling me, my friend, I said, you crazy. What, you crazy? How you gonna open an English school if you don't even know how to speak? What's your problem? And I was telling, look, I don't need to speak. The teachers need to know how to speak, not me. And guess what happened, Amrish? True story. Now in the same office, the renting room
Mm-hmm.
in one room, and
Mm-hmm.
office, and
Mm-hmm.
and in the other room that I have a spare, I put the tables, I put the chairs, and that was the English school. You won't
Nice.
believe the tenants will stay longer because now they're
Mm-hmm.
learning English cheaply.
Awesome.
And
Yep.
also, I didn't see this coming. The school gave me a lot of clients
See, you
because some
built a
people came
flywheel
from the
around
school.
it.
People came from the school,
Yeah.
and in the school,
Yep.
guess what happened? My agents were there, and as
Yep.
soon they get out of class, my agent would be waiting for them and say, "By the way, we have rooms." Really? Yeah, yeah. Come, let me tell you. So from the so it was after the career advice, everything, even a
Mm-hmm.
restaurant, which was a big failure. That's another story. But
Mm-hmm.
even the restaurant we open for them, so we'll always looking
Mm-hmm.
what the clients want, what we should, what can we do to enhance the experience, what can we
Yep.
do to now with tech, this become a little bit of a challenge because everything to enhance the yes, in this kind of
Yeah. So.
environment is difficult, right? Because it's expensive. A software developer, it costs a lot of money. And so how you handle this, how you mitigate this challenge where you have to compromise, yeah, like for example, even I remember my school, it was no making very little profit. I remember that, I mean, maybe
Mm-hmm.
£2,000
Mm-hmm.
after everything of the cost. So the thing was giving me
Mm-hmm.
£2,000 a month, which was very
Yeah.
little for what, even with one house we were doing this, and we made like 28. So, but it was a big source of keeping the clients happy. It was a big
Mm-hmm.
source, the retention in the business. It was a big source of kind of key and belonging and things. So the school, it was not even as the other business, but it became part of the ecosystem that enhanced the whole customer experience, and that it was no, maybe no investment in terms of thing, but actually create something. So how you mitigate that? How you do that in your business? Taking consideration that for me was very cheap, because I have the office anyway, right? That the two office space, I put everybody in one, and I turn the other one in the classroom, and that's it. But when it comes to tech, you have to hire more programs, more things. How you manage this?
It's not much different, Harry, to be honest with you, right? Because if your example, right? So you identify your core problem, which was basically you didn't want it to make your landlord rich, you wanted to make yourself rich, right? So you made ways, right? You made ways to kind of find tenants, right? Sublet, right? And then you built a flywheel around stickiness and all that good stuff, right? Similarly in tech too, man. Like at the end of the day, as I said, you're solving a core problem and then you're building a flywheel around it, right? And with that lean mindset, that comes really easy. For example, I'll give an example, right? So we started with, okay, yes, we're going to help global investors invest in US real estate. And what we'll do is we'll help them with mortgages, US mortgages, needing any US credit history or FICO score in the US, right? So you don't need, we need to be in the US to close on that mortgage. We don't need any financial credit history and all that good stuff, right? But then that you don't have a US bank account. That foreign national customer doesn't have a US LLC. It's difficult to obtain an employee identification number or EIN number as a foreign national for that LLC. How do you solve for that? You can say customer go and open your own bank account, or customer go and figure out with IRS how to get an EIN number as a foreign national with no SSN in the US, or you can control the ecosystem, right? Because ultimately, to your point, yes, that's not profitable part of the business, or that's not something you're doing to make profit. But at the end of the day, that helps you control the customer experience, helps you control the ecosystem much more in a better way. So we did that. We took that ownership. I had someone in my team figure out a loophole with IRS to get EIN number, over fax, right? And we were able to shorten that process from anywhere weeks where IRS used to mail the EIN to a foreign address. Imagine that, to getting an EIN number for a foreign national who wants to buy the US property in the name of an LLC versus their personal name for liability protection within a week, right?
Wow.
US bank account. You're not in the US, opening a US bank account is next to impossible. But we were able to kind of sort that out for our foreign national clients who want to invest in US real estate, right? So it's all about understanding the pain points of your customer, building a flywheel around that, knowing that some of those flywheels is not directly correlated to your profit or balance sheet, but it helps you to control that ecosystem. It helps you to control the customer experience. Ultimately, it's going to be a feeder to your bottom line, no matter what. Same thing with a property platform, right? Because these customers were coming to us asking us, great, I want to invest in US real estate. Sounds like a great idea. Why wouldn't I do that, right? But I don't know anything about the US. Where to invest? Where to buy? Tell me, right? And I saw our team going on Zillow, finding properties for them, doing cash flow analysis, sending them back and saying, hey, here's what you should invest. We're like, wait a minute. Let's just build a platform. Let's build a technology platform where you can come in and say, show me, and it's of AI. So, we can't do anything without an AI, right? So while we're building it, let's make sure that, the platform uses all the latest AI capabilities, right? So you can come in and ask, hey, show me cash flow deals in landlord friendly states with a cash flow of $500 per month, right? And our AI will kind of look at everything out there in the US market and show you the right properties that give you that cash flow. So your hours of research is into few clicks. And then we have vertically integrated our mortgage offering. So you can open your LLC, open bank account, get mortgage rate quote based on your situation, your scenario, right there, right? So your one-stop shop from finding to funding and everything in between and beyond. We are there
amazing.
for you, right?
That's fantastic.
And that's because you from a flywheel approach, we didn't woke up one day and said, today we are going to build this all-in-one investment property platform. It doesn't that way, right? You got to attack your core problem. And to your point, Harry, the same thing you did with your tenants, like understanding what makes them stick, how you to create the stickiness around, your ecosystem. Same logic in any tech business, right? You identify your core problem and then you build flywheel around it to enhance the ecosystem, to really make that ecosystem mature.
Yeah, 100%. And then on the flywheel, you see, we have to sometimes, because I carry, I remember with the restaurant, what happened was the following, right? That like 50% of my tenants, they were from Spain, right? And then we got this idea. They say, Harry, we want to eat food, and say, well, okay, I'm gonna open a restaurant. However, that was a big learning experience because I didn't calculate effectively. I didn't know, was lack of experience. I thought, okay, if the school is going very well and the career wise going very well, the restaurant is gonna be the same, right?
Yep.
Later did I know that I took a huge restaurant, very big, yeah. And the amount of tenants that I have, it was not enough to cover that one, because with the amount of tenants that I have, I can cover only one table of the restaurant.
Yep.
And it was completely different than the school, completely different than the school, because the school was low cost, keep it simple, like you said, you see?
Yep.
And cost effective and solve the main problem. But without lack of experience, I didn't. I after I failed, then I realized I can have this conversation with you and say, look, I know what didn't work in this 360 approach. That it was basically a lack of calculation, right? That ticket for a restaurant is low, and the amount of client that I needed to sustain this, and the rent that you pay for that thing, and it was no viable. So that's things that you learn on the way, and but you can always pivot, and you can always.
But there's a very important lesson.
Not everything is gonna work, right?
Yep. And it's a very important message for our listeners too, right? Because whoever listening, right, there are things that's gonna fail, right? It's always that you are perfect. No one is perfect. Not everything that you will do is gonna succeed with flying colors. It's all about getting up, throwing things at the wall again and again and again, and doubling down on things that stick. Right? The 3 Ps, and that's the 3 Ps that I personally think that helped me as an entrepreneur, right? Perseverance, persistence, and patience. Right? You got to persevere, right? Like you got it's and keep doing it again and again is the name of the game, right? You be persistent about it, right? And all of this needs patience, right? If you have these 3 qualities, right? If you do something long enough, if you have the ability to, okay, I'm gonna keep throwing things at the wall, right? Something will stick. It's just something will stick. It's just the probability, right? If you throw 10 times, one time it will stick. You'll hear 9 no's to hear that one yes. But when it sticks, you double down, my friend. You double down, and
you will see, and you will see your business. This is coming for sure, because I remember, like I said, I did landing services for so many years, for 15 years, and you realize that when they land, the only phone number that they have is yours. So any problem, if they sick, if they whatever, they can reach you. They don't know anybody else. And 100%. Sometimes we need to cover this. I remember to put a list, phone numbers and things. Because little by little, we realize that it's not that the client is annoying, or it's not that the client want to bother you at 1 a.m. Is that they don't know anybody else. You're providing landing services. They land and they only have your. That's the only person they know. So it's about understanding, okay, the ecosystem that you are, and trying to design procedures, and now customer retention, the anchor acquisition, okay. We have seen models not only in tech business but out there. Well, everybody's desperate to bring strangers to the business, so they're taking 80% of the budget to do marketing and to do sales, to find new clients, because if you have new clients, your business worth more, right? And you can raise more money, funding for the VCs and so on. However, little funding those companies are taking to enhance, develop, and build the relationship with the clients, and to create the kind of ecosystem around to enhance the customer experience, Whether we see examples like Amazon, right? That since day one, they only want to they manage actually to survive because they took rather than this aggressive approach to customer acquisition, let's invest all the money, bring strangers and new clients. They took an approach that, okay, why we eliminate the resistance to the clients, why we enhance the experience to our clients. And even yesterday, somebody was commenting to me that they have now implemented a global logistics where amazing things that didn't exist before. And more the company is doing to enhance the customer experience with actually bringing clients for free because I remember probably everybody listen to the broadcast. You might think that you know about Amazon looking in Google, but most likely somebody told you, you want to buy this? Man, this is website Amazon amazing. You order whatever, people pay you, and you pay for the product, arrive very quickly. You don't like it, you give it back. Amazing. And then you went to the internet and how you find the things. So basically, the customer acquisition become practically zero in terms of new clients because they are all coming by referral and all they're taking most of the budget to enhance that experience. A model that kind of by accident I was in my clients happy and giving the best experience. And guess what happened? Because I'm focusing on the best experience for my clients will bring me another client.
Yeah.
And they will be referring then, and then have my customer acquisition clients decrease. They're coming by referral, and then one client is buying several things. Is buying career advice, is buying a school, is buying this, and on top of that, going it in as well. So if I give you $100, okay, how much of this $100 you will use to acquire new clients for your company? And how much of this $100 you will use to develop, keep, enhance the relationship with your actual clients, or to develop products and services that will enhance the experience, which will translate in more, like I said, nurture the experience of the client that eventually will translate and get you clients for free because the client become your fan, right? They will talk about you, they will bring their friends and so on. So what was you to the question in your? I'm giving you $100. It's just a perspective, so the entrepreneurs listening to it. It's a good exercise that I do with successful tech entrepreneur like you. So because if I say Harry, they say, well, Harry's saying, well, no, Harry, it's his opinion, yeah.
Yep. No, I'll break that. It's a good, really good question, Harry, right? But I think also, the entrepreneurs who are listening to this podcast need to put this into context, right? There are two types of sales cycle. You have a short sales cycle and you have a longer sales cycle, right? For example, say real estate is a longer sales cycle game, right? You're not buying investment property, every month. It's going to like from one property to the next property. The amount of time is going to be 1 year, 2 year, 6 months, for the very minimal, right? Whereas if you are, looking at Airbnb, right, or if you are looking at, a product that typically has a shorter sales cycle, right, like referrals, that of course at any time, it's much to retain your existing customer than to bring a new customer. If you're a SaaS company, right, who has who makes money through recurring money through your current customer, right, that if you have a SaaS kind of model where you have recurring revenue, I would say 100% my money, $80 of that that dollar is going to go into retention and making sure that my company is going organically by word of mouth, right? Because my products are so good, my customers are my go-to-market strategy. They are spreading the word, they are bringing me new clients and so right. But say if you're running like a transactional business, like what we are running, a real estate business, right, where it's not the same customer that's providing you the recurring revenue every month, then
all it's new clients shifts. You need new clients all the time.
You need new, exactly. So the strategy shifts. It's not like one approach fits all kind of strategy, right? It depends on your business, right? So if I'm in a SaaS business, recurring revenue business, most of the money should go towards retention because it will cost you 3x higher to acquire a new customer versus retaining their existing relationship. Plus that relationship can act as your go-to-market strategy, right? But if you're running a transactional business where each transaction is new, right? And, of course, there's some repeat business inherent in our model too, because when we are working with real estate investors, no one buys one investment property.
Absolutely. They buy more than one for sure. Yeah.
Exactly. And they keep keeping cycle, but the cycle time is
It's
longer,
long.
right?
I get it.
Is longer, right? So so just keep you have to $100 and say, I'm only gonna spend that $100 on my existing nurture. Then wait, well, you have to wait for whenever they
Yeah,
fly, right?
yeah.
Right. So so for my business, I would put 17 acquisition and 30 on retention, right? Because that's how the transactional business tends to work, right? But again, like if I were running a SaaS company, it would be different, right? It is basically, right? So totally depends on the business type that you're running. What's your business model? Whether you have recurring revenue or transaction revenue dictates a lot of that.
Exactly. So everybody's in, right? So you need, it depends on the nature of your business. So number one question that you need to ask yourself is, which business are you really in, right? And of course, if bringing new clients, right, you're spending in marketing, and then it's transactional, and then you're making good money, right? You can repeat that all the
Mm-hmm.
time, right? However, this
And then we do
30%,
get,
yeah, you can do it.
and we do get that. Yeah, we do have our existing clients who are referring us other real estate investors. Whenever they say to us, whenever I'm doing my next investment property, I'm coming to you, right? So it's not
100%.
that that business is still going to be there. It's the basics still going to be there. It's just the cycle time is going to be longer, right? So
Mhm.
it's not like for a transactional business you should ignore. You should always keep the retention aspect for in forefront of your mind, but at the same time realize that the cycle times are going to be longer. Like no one buys investment
Mhm.
property every month, right?
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, so businesses that make monthly, right? Like subscription, software as a service,
Mhm.
exactly. Yeah,
Yep.
all these that you describing. Yeah, that model, right? Change a little bit. You should pay attention. And this is the thing that Amrish, the sometimes lost in translation. Some people are doing one thing,
Hmm.
some people know other things, and then the entrepreneur goes there and they confuse in how to separate these funds. Then if you get that wrong,
Hmm.
it's painful because we're talking about a lot of money and
Hmm.
in customer acquisition, which especially with is like, literally killing all these tech
Hmm.
startups is a high customer acquisition cost,
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
but probably is because this cost is high because you're not balancing well what we just discussed right now. So I
Absolutely. Yep.
average people want to know more about you, about what you're doing, guys, how people can find you, how this process work.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So as I said, I'm of HomeAbroad, which is focused on global investors investing in US real estate. As I mentioned, you're a one-stop shop to help you find the property, fund the property, everything in between and beyond, opening an LLC, opening a bank account, all that stuff, good stuff, right? And then Ziffy.ai, which is more focused on US-based investors. But again, it's a same platform, but just different branding to resonate with global audience and local
Wow,
audience, right?
very good.
But ultimately, it's one ecosystem. It's an AI powered investment property search portal where you can talk with the AI to find the right deal for you that fits your investment objective, right? So show me rented properties, show me properties in this area, and then AI will, you can interact with the AI, you can talk questions, ask questions, sorry, based on your appetite, your objective, and so on and so forth. Find the right deal for you, select the deal, connect with a local real estate agent to put an offer on the property. Once you have a purchase contract, you come in to finance the property with us. What we do is typically called investor friendly debt service coverage ratio loan, which really means that we are not underwriting you, we are underwriting the property. So the way we do the loan is based on the rental income that the property would generate versus your personal income, which enables you to build portfolio of hundreds of investment property, because each property is kind of underwritten on its own merit versus your income, right? And if you are thinking, oh, that means the interest rates are going to be much higher. No, right? Whatever interest rate that you will be paying for an investment property loan on a conventional loan is pretty much in the same, an eighth higher or lower, depending upon how the market is, but it's very, very competitive in the same bracket and the same range, right? If you're a foreign national, not in the US, it doesn't have a US credit history, if you're thinking, oh, then they're going to charge me 5% higher interest rate than a US person. No, your interest rate is only going to be 0.5 to 0.75% higher than what a US person would be paying for the same loan. So very, very competitive again, right? So, we are serving two big markets, local investors, global investors. We are opening US real estate, to the world, right? Everyone given opportunity to to tap into, US real estate has to offer, which is cash flow with leverage, right? We're opening that to the world. And of course, within the US too, not many people know about all this, right? If global investors are investing in US real estate because of its benefits, people in the US, I tell you, Harry, they don't know about it. 8% of Americans own investment property, right? So there's a big opportunity just educating, people in the US too, to take that next step, take that bold move, be the entrepreneur. Don't make your landlord rich, make yourself rich, right?
100%.
If you want to find us, you can send us at contact@homeabroadinc.com if you are a global investor. For local, contact at Ziffy.Ai. Our website is Ziffy.Ai and HomeAbroadinc.com. So go check us out and let us know how we can help.
That's amazing, Amrish, and it has been a pleasure to talk about your business, which is amazing. Yeah, and a big fan of landing services. Like I said, that we did this a long time ago, and we have an amazing experience. So for all of you following the broadcast, our next episode, how brave entrepreneurs like Amrish break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Awesome. Thank you, Harry.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.